Okay, welcome to Lab5, implement Intersite connectivity. So here, what we want to do is some virtual network peering to see how that stuff works. Again, there is a helpful architecture diagram in the lab instructions, which are linked in the notes. So maybe I'll take a look at that first. So we're actually going to start off by creating a virtual machine. And I want to have an Azure virtual machine. Then we want to create a resource group, RG5 for this lab. Oh, it's already pre-created. I always make that mistake. I always do it the wrong way around. Then core services, VM. Is the name of the VM we want to create in East US. No infrastructure redundancy required. Security type can be just standard. The image is going to be a Windows image. It's going to be a Windows Server 2019 for whatever reason. It's going to be a standard DS2 version 3. That's correct. We want the administrator username to be local admin, and we want it to have a nice password. There we go. Public email ports, none. Okay. So with disk we should be okay. With networking, I'm going to create a new virtual network here. We're not going to use the default name. We're going to call it core services VNet, like this. I'm going to use 10.0.0.0.0.16. Remove the default subnet and add core subnet with 10.0.0.0/24. Note that this wizard is different from the create virtual network wizard from virtual networks. I actually prefer this one because it's much easier to create the subnets where you don't have to click around and select the starting IP address and all of that. Just a quick note here. We're going to put it there. Then, what else is there? I think everything here should be okay. Management, monitoring, we don't need any monitoring. And then let's just review and create. So while that is creating, let's create another virtual machine. There we go. Let's put it in the same resource group. And we're calling this manufacturing VM. East US. Security type standard. No infrastructure required. Ooh. This is just changed, right? Let's put it like this. Then image. Data center 2019, cool. Standard DSV3, cool. Username, local admin, and a complex password. And no inbound ports. disks normal networking. And then we're going to create a new virtual network. We're going to call it the manufacturing VNet. And here the address range now is going to be totally different. So I'm going to make it a 172.16.0.0/16 address range, and then we're going to create a subnet therein called manufacturing. It's going to be the base IP address and then 24 size. Otherwise, the same stuff, so monitoring, disabled boot diagnostics, and then we can create this one as well. Okay, so now we should have some virtual machines. The first one is already there. Second one is coming up. One of the things that we could do is check whether these two virtual machines can indeed talk to each other. And the way to do that is to use Network Watcher. Okay, and what we want to do is from the network diagnostic tools, we want to see connection troubleshoot. Here you can see that now the virtual machine has been deployed. And our source in this case is a virtual machine. It could be let's say the core services VM. And then the destination is another virtual machine. And that would then be the manufacturing VM. And let's use both IP versions, so v4 and v6. Let's use TCP. Maybe port 3389, just to see if that is open. We're going to do everything that is in here. Just run it. This takes a little while. So here are the results. So you can see that the connectivity test means that it's unreachable. All of the probes failed. And can anybody guess why? Well, because they're in different virtual networks, right? So virtual networks by default are isolated. If you go over here now, we can't see that, of course. But you can see from here, core services is in the virtual network core services. And then the manufacturing VM is in the virtual network of manufacturing, right? So they cannot talk to each other by default. That's the whole idea of a VNet, that it gives us this network isolation, which gives us security. So what if we have these two separate VNets and they need to talk to each other? Kind of one way to do that, of course, is to use the public IP address in this case, right? So that we're just talking over the internet to each other, but that's not best practices, right? So we might not want that traffic to go over the internet. So is there another way? And of course there is. It's called virtual network peering. So now if we kind of go back to this core services machine, and then we click on the virtual network here, you can see that we go onto the core services VNet page. Now here, if we go under settings, there is a setting page called peerings, which is of course empty. So here we could add a peering. So we need to give it a name. So let's call it core services VNet 2, manufacturing VNet. We want to put it into we want to peer to the manufacturing VNet. Note this is the remote virtual network summary. Do we want to allow manufacturing VNet, so the target, to access us? Yes, we do. Do we want to allow the VNet to receive forwarded traffic from our VNet? That's something that we can set up. Yes, we can do that. Do we want to allow gateway or route? No. Do we enable manufacturing VNet to use core services? Remote gateway or route server? No, we don't want it. We're going to need to create a link name the other way around. So this is from our local. So this is manufacturing VNet to core services, whereas the previous one was core services to manufacturing. Do we want to allow core services to access the peer vert? Yes, we do. And we also want it to be allowed to receive forwarded traffic as well, but similarly no forwarding of traffic nor the remote gateway. Okay, so let's create this pairing. And here we are. So now we have the peering connection in place. And you can see that it's fully operational, it's connected and fully synchronized. Perfect. We can also go back to the other VNet, right? So on the manufacturing VM, we had the manufacturing VNet. And there we can also take a look at the peerings. And you can see that there is the opposite side of that peering is also connected and fully synchronized. So let's check if that actually works. So let's go to the core services VM. And networking, we have our private IP address somewhere here. Here we go, 10.0.0.4. And then we go other virtual machine. And then we're going to use the run command method to do this. So that's here under operations. There is a run command section. And that allows us to run something in the virtual machine without having to connect to it ourselves. So we can run a PowerShell script. And the script we can just type in here. So it's going to be test net connection. That's PowerShell commandlet. And we want it to test the connection to 10.0.0.4. And specifically port 3389, right? The same test that we did previously. So let's run that over on the server. And now you can see the results. So it did actually connect to the target server. So perfect. So next up, let's create a custom route. Kind of the reason for this is that if we have maybe like a core service VNet, no, it was services. Yeah. So the reason for this would be if we would have like a virtual network appliance in this network and we want all traffic to route via this network, then we can actually do that, right? So let's create a subnet here. Let's call it the perimeter subnet, and let's use the 10.0.1.0.24 IP range. There we go. And then let's create a route table. So this, of course, is a virtual route table. There are no real routers involved. It's just a software-defined network configuration again. We're going to put it into our resource group so we can easily delete it later on. And we're going to call it RT core services. And we don't want to propagate gateway routes in this instance. Right, let's create this. All right, now it's succeeded in deploying that. So let's go to the routing table. And then here, let's just take a look at it here and then add. And then we're going to have a route perimeter to core. Destination type is IP addresses in our case. I'm just going to say the whole core services network. That's this one. And with this route, so when we have anything going from the perimeter to the core network, we want it to go via a virtual appliance. And we're just going to say that it's going to be on the IP address 10.0.1.7. Okay. So that's done. Then we need to associate it with a subnet. So we're going to use the core subnet for this. So this way we can route traffic from a perimeter subnet, which is could be like the entry point from the internet to our network. And when any traffic needs to go to, in this case, the core network, any subnet in it, it will go via a virtual appliance, which could then be a firewall or whatever. Okay, so let's again delete our created resource group, and that will stop any possible charges that are accumulating for now. Thanks a lot for listening to me with this lab. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.